Alright everyone, welcome back. It's part 9 of my top 100 favorite movies of all time. This is number 20 to 11. Number 20. Raiders of the Lost Ark, the most classic adventure film out there. It's a nod to the old adventure serials from the 1930s and 40s, and it was the first collaboration between Spielberg and Lucas. They've been longtime friends, and after the huge success of both Jaws and Star Wars, it was only a matter of time before they actually collaborated on something, and man, what a hell of a collaboration this is. It has a classic feel to it, just like those old serials. You have a great leading man and a great character with Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones. The action's exciting, it's thrilling, it's creative. The music by John Williams is unforgettable, like all of his scores. It is just all sorts of perfect. I know a lot of people flip-flop between Raiders and Last Crusade, but Raiders of the Lost Ark just does it for me. I love Last Crusade, but come on, it's Raiders. Number 19. Toy Story 3. When it came to the Toy Story movies, I knew they were going to be on my top 100 list, and very high up, but it was hard for me to actually categorize where to put them, because I didn't want to cheat again and tie them up together, so I just decided to put Toy Story 3 as my least favorite of the series. Still a masterpiece, still in my top 20 favorite movies of all time, and that was because this movie came out at such a perfect time. It came out just as I graduated high school, and in this movie, Andy is off going to college, so it's like this movie kind of fell at the perfect time for me to see it. And it's just as fantastic as ever. All the characters are memorable, it's very funny, it's very heartfelt, and the ending will have you in tears twice. With the incinerator scene, because you just feel so uncertain of what's going to happen, and the very end of the movie. Like, it gets me, and I absolutely love it. Number 18. Toy Story 2. So what actually makes Toy Story 2 a little better than Toy Story 1? Part of the reason might have to do with the fact that I saw Toy Story 2 at a very young age, and it was one of the movies I had on a loop constantly at home on DVD. But I think another reason why I prefer the second one over the third one is because it's not as dark. As much as I love Toy Story 3, that movie can get so dark to the point where it can just upset you. This movie has a lot of drama, a lot of conflict, without coming across as too depressing. And it's got a beautiful song by Randy Newman that the character Jessie sings. It's beautifully animated. This is Pixar's third movie, and the animation has definitely come a long way since the first one. All the characters are once again great. It's got a lot of really funny sight gags, just stuff that has me laughing hysterically. Not sure what else can be said about this movie, except that it's just not as good as the first one. Where will the first one land? Let's just continue this series and find out. Number 17. Return of the Jedi, also known as Star Wars Episode 6. You guys knew it was a matter of time before Star Wars popped up on this list, and the fact that Return of the Jedi is so close to my top 10 is a testament to how much I love this movie. And I know people might be complaining about it, that Return of the Jedi is just so high, or for some people, on a top 100 list at all, but I love this movie. I think part of the reason is the fact that something I forgot to acknowledge with Toy Story 3 is that it's a perfect conclusion to this trilogy right here. The original Star Wars trilogy just holds a special place in my heart, and Return of the Jedi was the movie that I watched the most growing up. And I think a big part of that had to deal with all the creatures in Jabba's palace, the Rancor especially, since I'm a monster guy, that thing is so cool no matter what. And, in my opinion, the best space battle ever made on film. The Battle of Endor with the Death Star 2 is just so mind-blowing, and I just loved it. I watched that constantly as a kid, but looking at it as an adult, yeah, it's not as good as the first two movies, but I still think it's fantastic, and the big element that I think makes it work is the conflict between Luke, Vader, and Palpatine at the end. There's just so much drama going on, there's so much emotion. The scene where Darth Vader turns to the light side and throws Palpatine off the edge of the Death Star is just powerful. All you need is a look and you immediately understand what's going on with this character. And yeah, it's just, in my opinion, one of the great closing films to a trilogy. Number 16. Psycho. This is probably Alfred Hitchcock's most famous movie, and this is one of those movies where it took me a while to actually watch it, but I knew a Psycho reference when I saw it. But even then, me knowing how Psycho plays out, me knowing all the little details to the movie before seeing it, it could not prepare me for the movie itself. You have so many great elements to this movie. You've got the Bernard Herrmann score, which is iconic. You've got the infamous shower scene, which itself is infamous for many reasons, because one, it's an expertly edited scene, and two, it takes place almost halfway through the movie where the main character is killed. Janet Leigh as Marion Crane is fantastic, but once her character is killed off, then any plot points relating to her are just thrown out the window, and you're just wondering what the rest of the movie is going to be about. And it also has another great twist, which hasn't been parodied as much as the shower scene, so if you haven't seen this movie or don't know the second twist, then I won't spoil it. But it's just amazing all around. Like I said, Janet Leigh's great. Anthony Perkins as Norman Bates is so good. He is downright creepy. There's a reason why this is Hitchcock's most talked about movie. And before this, movies like Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Halloween may have never existed. Number 15. Alien. The classic sci-fi horror film. I saw this movie a month after I saw Alien vs. Predator for the first time, and because that movie was PG-13, I did not know that this was going to be R. And it is so creepy, but it's also a very engaging movie. The first act of the movie is very slow, takes a long time for the movie to get going, but during that first bit, you're never bored. You're just fascinated by this world that's established. You like these characters, they feel very believable, even though some of them do very stupid things. And then once it actually becomes the horror movie that's marketed as, it's just creepy on itself. The xenomorph is a very unique design. You don't see it for a lot of the movie, but when it's there, it's effective. The production design of the ship is outstanding. The finale gets my heart racing every time. It's just an amazing movie all around and has one of the most famous taglines out there. In space, no one can hear you scream. And if that doesn't set you up for what this movie is, then I don't know what will. Number 14. Jurassic Park. In my opinion, the last great Spielberg masterpiece. I love some of his later movies like Saving Private Ryan, Catch Me If You Can. I even like Tintin and Ready Player One. But in my opinion, Jurassic Park is the last movie made by the classic Spielberg that made movies like Raiders of the Lost Ark or E.T. Like with so many other movies, I saw this at a young age. I didn't see this movie in the theaters, but this movie really packs a punch. Obviously, the big scene stealers of the movie are the dinosaurs, especially the CGI ones, because this is a movie that broke ground when it came out with its visual effects. Nobody had ever seen anything like this before, and it made us believe that dinosaurs really came back to life. But getting past the dinosaurs, it's just an expertly crafted movie. The characters and the story is great. You got great performances from Sam Neill, Richard Attenborough, Laura Dern, Jeff Goldblum. It's just a really stellar cast, and it's really suspenseful as well. My favorite scene of the entire movie is the scene when the T-Rex escapes its enclosure, and I think one of the elements that makes this scene as suspenseful as it is the fact that there's no John Williams score at all. The movie, of course, has an iconic John Williams score, and the Jurassic Park theme is one of my favorite movie themes of all time, but I don't think that T-Rex scene would have worked if John Williams' music was playing. It'll make you laugh, it'll make you cry, it'll make you scared. This movie's just got everything. And it would have been my favorite Steven Spielberg movie of all time had it not been for one other movie. It's not the next movie I'm talking about, but I will be talking about that movie soon. Number 13. The Apartment. My favorite Billy Wilder movie ever. And this is a movie that's actually kind of hard to explain why I love it as much as I do. I saw this movie over at the Egyptian Theater, and I didn't really know what to expect from this movie going in. And what I got was just so amazing. It's one of my favorite romantic comedies out there. You've got great performances by Jack Lemmon and Shirley MacLaine. Jack Lemmon's character is so relatable, he's so charming, and Shirley MacLaine is just so cute in this movie. She has a great personality, and the chemistry between these two characters just works so well. Double Indemnity is great, Some Like It Hot is great, but For me, they can't top The Apartment. This movie for me is the definition of classic Hollywood, and I make it a tradition to watch this movie every New Year's Eve, or at least close to New Year's Eve. I reviewed this movie a couple years back, and if you've never seen The Apartment, it's your job to see it, because it is one of the best movies ever made. Number 12. Ghostbusters, my favorite comedy ever made. There's just so much about this movie that I admire. It has horror elements to it, but it's mostly a comedy. All the characters have great dynamics with each other. Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis. I'll even throw in Ernie Hudson. Even though he comes in later in the movie, I think he does a great job being the every guy along with these three scientists who are kind of wacky. Bill Murray as Peter Venkman steals the show for me. It made me really understand Bill Murray's sense of humor and how he's just a master of sarcasm. He'll deliver lines with such a deadpan stare that have me laughing no matter what. Even though Peter Venkman does a lot of things that wouldn't be appropriate in today's society, it's still a really fun character, and the other cast members, including Rick Moranis and Sigourney Weaver. This was one of Sigourney Weaver's other big movies right after Alien, and she works very well here. The special effects are great, the horror elements actually work very well and don't clash with the comedic elements. It's just a perfect balance of everything that you could possibly want from a comedy. Number 11. Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, also known as just Star Wars. This is the movie that changed everything. It changed how movies are made, changed how movies are marketed. It just changed the industry forever. Sometimes for better, sometimes for worse, but for me especially, this is the movie that spawned one of my favorite film series out there. I saw this at a very young age, like most people, and it just blew my mind. Much like with Return of the Jedi, when I was a kid, I was more fascinated by all the creature designs, the spaceship battles, but watching this movie as an adult, I really have a bigger appreciation for the story, how Lucas was influenced by Akira Kurosawa's The Hidden Fortress, the characters and what they each represent, the classic hero story that Luke Skywalker goes on, all the metaphors that are going on throughout this movie, like the Force is an allegory for religion. It's just a brilliant movie on all accounts. All the characters are great. Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Princess Leia, C-3PO, R2-D2, Chewbacca, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Darth Vader, even small minor characters like Tarkin, Porkins. They just leave such an impact on you. The John Williams score is just... it's probably his best score out there. There is not a single soul on Earth that does not know the Star Wars theme. It's incredibly quotable. The Battle of Yavin is just such an amazing finale to a film. The only thing that really hurts this movie are the changes made in the special editions, and while I do hope one day that Lucasfilm and Disney will release the unaltered versions on Blu-ray, I still love this movie. Despite all the special edition changes, it does not change the fact that Star Wars is one of my favorite films of all time. I adore this movie. And there you go, that's number 20 to 11. And now we've come to the big one. I will be posting my top 10 on Wednesday, which will be my birthday. When I started making this series of videos, I had planned to have the last video drop on my birthday. So on February 27th, keep your eyes open for my top 10 favorite movies of all time. But until then, I want to know what you guys think of this list. What do you think of the movies that I picked for number 20 to 11? Let me know in the comments below. Do you like any of them? Do you not like any of them? What's in your number 20 to 11 favorite movies of all time? And until next time, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, give this video a like, and of course leave a comment. Don't forget to support my Patreon page, follow me on social media, and until next time, this is the real Mr. Robinson telling you, there's only one.